The Midwest #1 independent computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock Desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks, and welcome into Compute This. Happy New Year, everybody. It's great to be back with you live here this morning. Number to join us on the program. We are live, so we're here in the studio. You can actually give us a call today. It feels like it's been a long time. It's only been 2 weeks since I've been in here, but it feels like forever. And I woke up like 10 minutes early this morning. I was ready to go. I'm like, let's get on there. Let's do this. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. And of course, if you have a question, have a comment, had an experience in the service center that you'd like to share with everybody, if you just give us a call at that number, 888-250-2091, we'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate there as well. Okay, so if you missed last week's show, this is not the first show of the new year. This is the first live show of the new year because the Thorstradamus show last week was pre-recorded. He sits down with me and talks with me. I mean, there's no need. He won't come into studio. I've tried to get him to come on live and actually share his predictions live on the air, but he won't do it. It's weird. He's got a thing about technology. I don't know. But anyway, he won't come in. He won't do it, which makes us a good pair because he doesn't like the technology and I kind of do, and it works out. So last week's show was recorded, but if you missed it, it is available at SchrockInnovations.com. All you have to do is go over to SchrockInnovations.com where you can listen to all the previous shows and see all the archives for everything there. But if you want to hear the predictions, if you're wondering what happened with the predictions, shockingly, 100% accurate again. It just phenomenal, 100% accuracy. And then, of course, he made new predictions for the year coming 2023. 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program today, we're gonna have a little bit of a birthday party because Schrock Innovations turns 24 this month. 24 years old. At this point, you're kind of expecting them to leave the house, right? I mean, like. Go on now. 24 years old. Also coming up on the program, did you buy and sell any cryptocurrency last year? It's not any secret that last year's crypto market was kind of a nightmare. So crypto winter, they call it. But did you realize that you can harvest quite the tax loss to boost your tax refund? So the government is super hot to trot to tax you on your crypto gains, but that works both ways. So now if you have crypto losses, you can report those losses and get a refund. So, hey, pretty good there. We're going to tell you how to do that coming up on the program. Also, another ransomware decryptor has been released, which means the good guys have found out a way to free up some files that may have been encrypted by another older ransomware program. So we're going to talk to you about the state of ransomware, what happened last year with it, and what's coming in 2023. Now, that sounds incredibly exciting. I know the state of ransomware in 2023. It sounds like something you'd get a conference when you go to, you just don't want to be there, But trust me, guys, I'm going to give you some stats. I'm going to tell you about all the different places that got hit, how they got hit, how many of them got hit, and where it's trending so that you know what you need to do with your tech to keep yourself safe. That's the whole point. Also, if you didn't already realize it, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on right now in Vegas. And of course, there's all kinds of new technologies. And this is this is the first year they're kind of back in full force. Last year, there was kind of a partial event because of the pandemic. 2020 was completely virtual, which, was kind of a non-event because that's the whole point of going to CES is to see the new technology. Now, if you listen to the program, you may have heard a show before Christmas where I was talking about a new phone that Samsung had. And it was it's called the Fold, where you can literally fold the phone in half. So it opens up like a tablet, and then you can fold the phone closed, and the screen itself folds on itself. It doesn't have a hinge. So not like a hinge in the screen. The screen is one continuous piece, and it folds. And I was explaining how, this is a really cool piece of technology. And I want it, but I don't need it. So I'm not going to buy it because it's an expensive piece of technology. When I was reminiscing on the shows that we have done over the past years, it occurred to me that around either 2008 or 2012, we were covering CES, and we talked about this new kind of screen that was very cutting edge at the time, but you could roll it. So there was, the idea was you could have a scroll basically that you would lay out like a battlefield plan, and you could roll it up, stick it in your backpack, and go. But it was a screen that was malleable, that was flexible, and I sit there and I'm like, holy cow! Like that's what we have now. That's how this phone works. It's got that screen in it. I'm sure modified quite a bit since then, but it just goes to show you some of the stuff that you see at CES actually comes to pass. So it's kind of cool stuff. So we're going to tell you about a couple new cameras that are out at CES. One of them is really creepy. We're going to tell you about the peephole camera. That's right, at CES. Yeah. They pulled it off the market for a while, and now they're bringing it back. No idea why they would have pulled the peephole camera off the market. What could have gone wrong with that? Ring? Really? 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. All right, so Schrock Innovations is 24 years old. It was Schrock was founded January 1st. Yes, January 1. We founded it on a holiday because the attorney that founded it was a close friend of the family. So we were all together, and he was like, well, you should incorporate. And I said, well, let's do that. And so we filled out the paperwork and everything on January 1st, and then he filed it on the 2nd. But January 1st of 99 was the official date that Schrock Innovations began doing business as Schrock Innovations Incorporated. Now, before that, we were doing business as just, Thor in his attic with his cats and his computers, and it was great. But now, then it became an official company, a whole thing, right? And over the years, it has grown and changed and modified and, refined. And I often look back, and I look back at all the people that helped Schrock become what it is today, because a lot of people assume that, it was all top-down direction, like, hey, Thor just had this idea, and, here's this company. But, along the way, there were people that, when I walked into a program director's office in, 2001 and said, I think I want to have a radio show. And then he laughed at me. And then I said, no, I think I could do this. I think I could do a radio show about computer stuff. And so then we did a half-hour show. And the half-hour show that we did was awful. It was awful. I had to have a co-host with me to remind me why I was doing the show. So, Thor, if anyone's interested in these cool technology things, how can they get a hold of you? Oh, yeah. You can give us a call, 402-423-9590. Oh, back then it was just 423-9595. You didn't need the 402. And Thor, if somebody wanted to come out to your location, where are you located again? Oh, yes, thank you for asking. Great question. Literally, I had to have somebody like reminding me why we were there, But that's how the show got started. It started as a half an hour. Quickly realized a half hour just wasn't enough time. Even without commercial breaks, you can go through a half hour really quickly. I mean, we've already burnt through 10 minutes and we've hardly got started, So you can get through a half hour pretty quick. So we stretched the show out to a full hour. And then as I continued to do the show through the years, we had the co-host for a great many years. And then it almost became like a sidekick, right? Like, it was two people doing the radio. Like morning shows are always two people at least, right? I haven't ever heard like a single person morning show that didn't have another voice somewhere in it. Rush Limbaugh would be an example, but you never heard Bo Snerdley, but he would talk to him, but he would relate back to you what Bo Snerdley was saying. So he could have been completely fictional. He wasn't, but he could have been, and you wouldn't have known. There's Limbaugh that, he never had guests. He never did anything else on the show aside from his own voice. But, the show as it went on over time, we got into more and more things with your technology, and then the audience kept leveling up. And so we had this interesting problem where new people coming to the program felt overwhelmed sometimes because there was no basics. It was all like, Thor, tell me how I can integrate my VPN with my wireless router. And everyone is like, I didn't understand what that person just said, and he was a caller. This is not the show for me. Right. So then we started doing more of the back to basics segments to try to, get people into the program on a level that they were comfortable with. So we try to cater to all these different audiences at the same time. And that's how the show has kind of grown over the years. But 24 years in business, we're going to celebrate that with a special, of course, because that's what businesses do. Right. We put things on sale. But one of the things that you don't see on sale anymore, anywhere, even at Bed Bath & Beyond's bankruptcy sale, you don't see it anywhere. You don't see labor on sale. My wife went into Bed Bath & Beyond before Christmas to buy something. And she said literally the entire store, there was one employee. And that one employee was running the checkout. And then the self-checkout died. And she was like, you're going to have to wait till I can get over there because I have a line of people here. And, it was a mess, right? So the one thing that businesses are definitely not giving away right now is labor. You bring out your own groceries. You drive your own car through the car wash. You do these things yourself because all the businesses can't get people. They want to save on the labor. So at Schrock, what we're doing to celebrate our birthday is we are actually putting labor on sale. This could very well be the only time this year we do anything like this. But in the past, you guys probably recognize the sale, those of you who took part in it in the past, as the solid-state hard drive upgrade sale. So if you have an older computer that doesn't have a solid-state hard drive, we'd say, come on in for the cost of the hard drive. We'll put the hard drive in, transfer your data, your operating system, your files, everything over to that new drive, and then boom, there you go. You got your new hard drive in your computer. Your computer's 10 times faster than it was before, and everybody's happy because you didn't have to pay for the labor. That's the most expensive part. You didn't have to pay for any of it. Well, a lot of you have solid-state hard drives now. They're a lot more common than they used to be 2 or 3 years ago when we started doing that sale. So we decided that we were going to broaden the scope, if you will, of the offering to be beyond solid-state hard drives, to include memory upgrades as well. So whether you need a solid-state hard drive installed or a hard drive upgrade or maybe a bigger hard drive put in, maybe you want to increase the memory. Maybe you didn't get the computer you wanted for Christmas, so now you're going to make do with what you have for another year, but you want to juice it a little bit. You bring it into Schrock in the month of January, and you get a free hour of labor toward any upgrade you like. So it's $125 free for any hardware upgrade on your computer at any Schrock Innovations location. So it's a pretty sweet deal. I'd encourage you to take advantage of it. If there's something you've been meaning to do with your computer, you can save a little bit of money there and get that going. If you were thinking about maybe upgrading it to Windows 11, even if the hardware won't run Windows 11, we can upgrade the hardware so you can run Windows 11. See how that works? It's pretty neat. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. So we're 24 years. We've been doing this longer than most people go to prison. In the old days, people don't go to prison anymore. They just get released, I guess. I don't know. That's what I'm hearing anyway. Like, how do I get on that sweet gig? Dude, that Fetterman guy, not Fetterman, that's different. He's the senator. Sam Bankman-Fried, that's his name. Sorry. Yeah, the Fetterman guy, he got elected. I mean, come on. No. Wow. Whoo, Happy New Year. Have another glass of champagne. The Sam Bankman-Fried guy, I mean, he stole like $9 or $10 billion of people's money, and he got out on bail? He didn't like the Bahamas jail. In the Bahamas, like the jail, it's like there's maggots in the food, and you're getting beat up by your cellmates because there's no walls. And then the floors are made of dirt, and, they kind of pour water in on your head once a day and call it good. Happy Bahamas jail. You don't screw up in the Bahamas. Suddenly he didn't want to fight his extradition at all. He was like, you know what? I think we could expedite this extradition to the United States, where he was promptly released to his parents' custody. On bail, of course. And we don't have to know who posted his $250,000 bond because, that's not important. He literally made that argument in case it's not important. No one needs to know that. And don't tell people who put this up for me. Maxine Waters wouldn't like that, No, she didn't put up his bond. But all the photos of all the political donations that this guy's made, and you just got to sit back and you just got to wonder, oh my goodness. But so Sam Bankman-Fried, he gets out of jail. But basically, at Schrock, what we've got going on right now is a great opportunity for you to upgrade your technology, to improve the technology that you have so that it suits your needs going forward into the new year. You can save a boatload of money on the labor, which is the most expensive part anyway. Everybody always knows that. It's the hardest part to get, and it's on sale right now at Schrock, celebrating 24 years in business. It's been a while. I want to share something. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I didn't plan on reading this here, but I've got a couple extra minutes left here on this before we end the segment, and I got an email the other day, and once in a while, you just get an email from a customer, and it just kind of hits you. You're like, wow, what we are doing here really makes a big difference for a lot of people. Oh boy, bear with me while I scroll through this. This is great radio here. Okay, let's see. Scrolling. Oh, of course I can't find it. I should have planned this better. But basically, the email went something like this. I just came into the Lincoln Service Center to buy a computer. I was a customer of yours 11 years ago, and I bought my first computer from you 11 years ago. And, oh, did I find it? Haha, got it. Return customer, Kimberly. I just wanted to let you know that I purchased a new modular computer in the Lincoln store today. I've returned to Schrock Innovations after purchasing our first family computer about 11 years ago. I want you to know that I returned to Schrock because of your company's long-standing status of offering exceptional computer support. I remember when you first started, and I heard about you. I've heard about you since the late 90s on KFOR, it's Lincoln radio station. Not just the Compute This shows, but also just general positive reputation. I want you to know that after around 25 years in the Lincoln market, that I choose Schrock over the main box stores and national companies. Thank you for being there for our community, and I feel confident in my purchase. You get an email like that from a customer, and you realize that the same thing that I tell my guys, I try to remind them, everything that you do every day in here is just another day at work to you. But for the people you're doing it for, it's magic. Literally, it is flipping magic. You make their stuff work. You make it do the things they want it to do. You make it work reliably. You make it work fast. You fix it when it goes down. You have a skill set that other people need, and you should value that skill set. I guess I've never really stepped back one step further back and said, everything that we're doing as a business, as a company, helping people with their technology, I've never taken the step back and said the same thing to myself. So I wanted to thank Kim in Lincoln for sending in this email to remind me that what we're doing has an impact on so many people all throughout the community anytime that we have an interaction with them. 888-250-2091. Going to take our first break of the program, but when we come back, did you buy or sell any cryptocurrency in 2022? Now, specifically, did you sell any? Because you probably sold it at a loss if you did. And if you did sell some, you might be entitled to a tax refund. We're going to tell you how to do that coming up next on Compute This.
Drive Advisor is a free program from Schrock Innovations that monitors your hard drive's health and tells you if it's going bad. Download it for free at driveadvisor.com. In 1798, Eli Whitney's Connecticut Musket Factory was the first business in North America to use replaceable parts in a firearm. Before Eli's factory, if your musket broke, you had to send it away to an expert gunsmith for repairs, or just toss it and buy a new musket. Technology manufacturing has come a long way since the 18th century, but you wouldn't know it by looking at today's big box store computers. Dell, HP, Sony, and other manufacturers continue to take away your freedom to upgrade and repair your computer by eliminating expansion and repair options. Some desktops are even powered by a tiny laptop adapter. Schrock Innovations believes in Eli Whitney's idea of interchangeable and replaceable components, and that's why our custom-built modular computers last longer and cost less to repair than computers you see at big box stores. Ask your friends and family how often they replace their box store computers, and they'll probably tell you every couple of years. And what do they do with the old machines? They just get thrown out like broken muskets. Imagine a place where your computer's problems can be fixed quickly and inexpensively. Imagine keeping your computer for 6 years or more. You are imagining the kind of computers we build every day at Schrock Innovations. Our modular systems last longer, perform faster, and cost less over the long term than anything you can buy at a big box store. While the talented technicians at Schrock Innovations can't make you a musket even if they tried, our commitment to the freedom offered by modular computers is the modern-day extension of Eli's innovative musket factory. We think Eli Whitney would be proud, and you can take pride in owning a small piece of American innovation, the modular computer from Schrock Innovations. Compute This Pro Tip 843. Of all computer failures, the scariest and most expensive is the hard drive. But there are some steps you can take to save money and save your data before it's too late. Detecting failures early is important, so install a free utility like Drive Advisor from driveadvisor.com to monitor your hard drive's health and receive warnings when there's a problem. But most of all, hard drive failures happen slowly, so early detection is key to reducing the repair bill. Second, if your hard drive makes any unusual noises, immediately turn off your computer and do not turn it on again. These issues are physical problems, and the more you try to use it, the worse the damage becomes. Remember that most computer repair shops do not have the specialized equipment needed to recover data from a failed drive. Never open your drive or allow anyone else to do so. Opened drives always cost more to recover. Schrock does not charge for data recovery evaluations and quotes, so let the local pros look at your drive before you make any recovery decisions. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company, celebrating 24 years in business. Best of Omaha, best of Lincoln. I don't know if we're the best in Des Moines. I don't think we haven't actually been awarded a best of Des Moines. We have won best of Sarpy County for Papillion, but we have never won a best of Chris. Chris, I need you to get on that. 888-250-2091. Coming up on the program, did you sell any crypto last year? We're going to tell you how you can harvest your tax loss and maybe get a little bit bigger tax refund off that loss. But before we do that, let's jump into those phones real quick. Dave, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hey, morning, Thor.
Morning.
Good to have you back. You were talking about buying Bitcoin and stuff like that. I actually... Last year, I bought $50 worth of one called Shiba, and it's down at $13.50. I keep thinking, I'm glad I didn't buy more than $50 worth.
Yeah, you see, the challenge with meme coins, and this is what nobody ever. They're not investments. They're going to go to zero eventually. So the thing is, you have to sell your meme coins while there's still a greater fool, and then you can make money. Right? So when I bought my Shiba, I bought like $500 worth of Shiba, but then it went up to $900, and I said, this is stupid, and I sold it. And I
had a friend on Facebook kept saying buy this, it's really, really low. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll just start with $50 and see what it does. It was like within the first week, I lost $10 of it. It's never come back. I mean, it's not that much. It's not going to kill me, but I'm like, I just think I'm glad I didn't jump all in.
Well, it was like, I remember when I was a younger man, and the casinos were still like a newer thing over on the river over there. And so I was like, okay, let's go to the casinos. And I remember there was a guy that I knew, and he would say, I said, isn't this fun? And he just looked at me and he said, no, I'm losing all my money. This is not fun. It's like, why do you think this is fun? Gambling is not fun. You just lose your money at the end. You know you're going to lose, right? That's the whole. It's casino. It's like you're not going to win.
That's why I don't go to the casinos. I like to keep my money. Hey, thanks, Short.
Thank you, Dave. It. Happy New Year, and thank you for being the very first caller of 2023. All right, thanks for the call, Dave. 888-250-2091 Casino. Oh my goodness. Well, speaking of casino, if you got Node like Dave did with his investment there in Shiba, if you bought any cryptocurrency last year, or I should say if you sold any cryptocurrency last year, odds are that you sold it at a loss. Most crypto was sold at a loss, right? I think if you were listening to the show at the end of last year, I told you I was really concerned that Bitcoin, there was more shoes to fall in this FTX saga. Like there was more problems that were going to happen, and Bitcoin could go down to 10,000. So I cashed out of my Bitcoin, right? So I created a huge taxable event when I sold my Bitcoin. But that's okay, because you see, a lot of that Bitcoin I bought earlier in 2020, in 2021, at much higher prices, 40,000, 50,000. So when you sell it at 16,000, you have created a loss. You've created a taxable loss, an investment loss. And of course, I'm not an accountant. Any accountant that knows me would tell you, you don't listen to anything Thor says about accounting because he's an idiot and he doesn't know accounting. But I do know basic math. And I sold this at a loss. And I know that the government would have taxed the heck out of me if I would have sold it at a gain, right? And I had to get rid of my $400 profit on Shiba. That had to go away. So I sold the crypto. I booked a loss. And I'm going to report that loss to my accountant. I'm going to say, here's what I got when I sold the crypto. And this is what's called my cost basis. The cost basis is what you paid for the crypto. So you take those two numbers and you subtract them. And if the price that you got for it is lower than your cost basis, you lost money. And if you lost money, that could reduce your taxable liabilities from other incomes and things like that. It could, in essence, increase your tax return. So if you were involved in the cryptocurrency market, if you purchased or if you sold your crypto, you had to have sold it last year, right, at a loss. If you happen to have sold your crypto and you were like Dave and you lost a little bit of money, Dave's losses aren't that big, but I'm just saying, Dave, you lost 30, 40 bucks. That's 30 or 40 bucks more that you can get back on your tax return just for filling out a piece of paper. And the IRS is going to know that you bought the 50 bucks anyway because all the exchanges are required to report now. So that's the thing. If you purchase cryptocurrency, don't think you're going to stay off the radar by not filling out the paperwork, by not booking your tax loss, because you're on the radar because they're going to report you anyway to the government. So it's all going to happen. So you may as well book your loss now before they hire the 80,000 agents, and scour through all the crypto people. But book your losses now. If you genuinely had a loss on your crypto investments, you have a potential taxable benefit there that you should take advantage of, because heaven knows when this boat turns around and crypto goes back up again and you sell, then you're going to have a taxable gain. So you better make sure you get that taken care of while you can. 888-250-2091. Ruth, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This, Ruth?
Well, since I got the recent update for my computer, my scanner and my printer run really slow. Really? And by running that, I mean when I say print, I sit here and think, oh, didn't I punch that button? And so then I think, well, and so I look around and directly it starts printing. So why is there this delay?
Yeah, there shouldn't be a delay in the speed of which things get sent to the printer. Some printers process things faster than others, but if your printer was working at speed X and then after the update it's working at speed Y, there's obviously something not going right there. So it's very possible that there was updated software that was released for your printer to deal with the new update or to solve some issue. So the way that we would handle this in the service center, Ruth, is we would uninstall the printer from the computer. So we would delete the software, delete the printer, restart the computer. Then we would go to the manufacturer's website. Is it an HP printer by any chance?
Yes.
Okay. So we'd go to the HP support site and we'd type in the name of the printer, and it would give us all the downloads. And then I'd find the biggest, thickest, fattest download because that's got the full feature software. Because they have the quickie downloads that are just the basic stuff, just the basic drivers. But we want the full feature because you might want to scan. You might want to do other things with the printer. We want all the functionality. So I download the big fat one. I install it on the computer. And then hopefully everything is right with the world again. So that's the first step that I would do in the service center. Now, unfortunately, we can't do that in the service center for you because most printers are wireless now. They're on your wireless network. And so if you bring your computer, even if you bring the printer in, well, then we'll get it set up real good on our wireless network, and then you'll go back home, and it won't work because you're not on our wireless network anymore. So a lot of times if you need help doing this, we can help you out over the Schrock Desk, which is our virtual help service. It allows us to connect to your computer remotely, and we can do all kinds of assistance from software and updates and installing printers and helping you out with computer problems and glitches. So if everything I've described is the first step in fixing the problem, if that's all too, if you're like, okay, you lost me at download the fat one, If that's the case, we can help you out over the Schrock desk. We can get connected with you over the Schrock desk, and then we can do it for you if you'd like. But yeah, it sounds like there might be an issue with the software for the printer, especially if it's working at a slower speed now than it was before the update. So the first step is to let's get rid of the software and replace it with the latest software and see if the problem persists.
Okay, my printer is really an old HP, and it's a 2035 laser jet. So I hope this doesn't leave me in the dust.
Yeah, you don't want to get rid of that one because the old HP laser jets. Thank you for the call, Ruth. I appreciate it. The old HP laser jets, the toner cartridges, they were bountiful. They were just packed full of good, delicious toner that you could print and print and print and print. And then when it got emptied, you could drill a hole in the side. You could shoot more toner in it. And then you could print and print and print some more. Now they have a microchip where if you don't use up all the toner within 90 days, they just stop working. Because now printer ink is considered a commodity, not a product. It's like coffee. It can expire, you see. They went to the Supreme Court, actually, to get that ruling. Because, people didn't really appreciate it when they bought printer ink, and the ink is perfectly good, but because HP said it's only good for 90 days, they just expire it? You can do that? And the answer is, yes, we can. That's why everyone, even down to like John Deere, does it with their tractors now. Yeah, it's a world, but that's what we're here to help you navigate. 888-250-2091. Going to take a quick break here, guys. When we come back, another ransomware decryptor has been released to the community. So basically, the good guys rolled up a ring, got a criminal. They got the master keys to a major ransomware infection. And if your computer was encrypted by ransomware and you never paid the ransom, you just left it encrypted, there's a new option now to decrypt if you have a particular type of ransomware. But we hear about ransomware and it's scary, you lose all your stuff and everything else. But what is this a growing threat? Does this happen to real people? Does it happen? Is it just companies? Who is doing it? Why are they doing it? We're going to answer all those questions for you coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations Data Recovery Lab saves the data the other guys can't. The next time your hard drive, camera card, or flash drive fails, let Schrock get your data back. Every person listening to this broadcast has either experienced data loss or knows someone who has. When you think about it, you have a lot more data stored in many more places than you'd like to admit. Have you downloaded those videos from your phone, backed up the pictures on your iPad, or even tackled that sometimes daunting task of backing up your entire computer's hard drive? Most people just don't back up their stuff, and that's why Schrock Innovations has one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest. Equipped with the latest DDI data imaging devices, state-of-the-art custom recovery software, and Omaha's best data recovery technicians, Schrock Innovations has a 96.8% success rate when recovering data from damaged hard drives, flash drives, camera cards, and more. We all know we should back up our data, but if you are ever caught in a data loss nightmare, call the experts at Schrock Innovations to get your data back right where it belongs, safe and backed up on a stable hard drive. Compute This Pro Tip 578. Technology is constantly changing, so how can you tell when the time has come to recycle your old outdated computer and invest in a new one? Experts have rules of thumb and formulas, but Schrock believes the answer is simple. You should replace your old computer when it can no longer do the things you need in a secure way. For example, you should not be using operating systems like Windows XP or Vista because they're no longer maintained by Microsoft and they're not secure. And if your computer cannot run Windows 10, it's probably time to begin saving for a replacement. If your existing computer requires a repair and that cost is 50% or more of the cost of a new computer, it might be time to consider a replacement. But keep in mind, additional costs like data transfers and important software you have to upgrade like genealogy software or Quicken. And also keep in mind that modern computers are engineered to last 18 months for a normal user. And don't worry, you are considered a normal user. Schrock modular PCs and solid-state laptops are specifically designed to last 4 to 6 years for that same normal user, saving your family money and time. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Bob
Fox News, I'm Karen McHugh. Amid the growing crisis along the southern border, President Biden heads to El Paso today for a first-hand look. Meanwhile, Texas lawmakers have some plans of their own.
Look for more funding in Texas and new border-related bills on top of the already $4 billion approved for Operation Lone Star in the state's new Republican-controlled legislative session, with efforts to include Texas building its own state-funded border wall, which has begun in rural Starr County in South Texas, in what Governor Greg Abbott and other Republicans have called an invasion on our southern border.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. This will be President Biden's first trip to the border since taking office 2 years ago. Russia says it has struck a military barracks in Ukraine with a massed rocket attack. This in response, they say, to a Ukrainian strike on a Russian barracks last week. America is listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
We'll have sunny skies today, light winds, and a high of around 40. Partly cloudy, 26 overnight. Monday, sunny with a high near 43. Winds will become a little stronger from the west in the afternoon, gusting to near 20. And then on Tuesday, we'll look for sunny and a high of 44. There's your forecast. I'm Roger Olson.
Alrighty, folks, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Offices in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, and now West Des Moines, Iowa, 9500 University Avenue. That one hasn't been there for 24 years, but the Lincoln location, 24 years in business as of this January. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program today. Ask a question, make a comment. We'll put you in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate here at the end of the program. That's what Joan has done. Joan, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hi, Schrock. Thor, this is Joan.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question about the Google app Line from international phone calls. My son is over in Taiwan.
Okay.
And I have a Resolute laptop that I purchased from you in 2020. Can I do it on that? I do not own a smartphone.
Gotcha. And what was the app called again?
Line, L-I-N-E.
Oh, Line. I thought you said lied. And I was like, I've never heard of lied. It sounds like it's not true. Okay, let's see. International call app. Now, as far as your computer goes, if you want to run Android apps on your computer, you can do that on Windows 11 now. You have to have Windows 11, and you can run it. There's a couple setup steps you have to do in the middle to get it to work, but then you can run Windows 11. Now, if that's not an option for you, I know you don't have a smartphone right now, and you probably have no desire to go out and purchase one and get service set up and all that jazz. However, what a lot of people don't realize is a smartphone is just a computer with a phone strapped onto it. And it's totally possible to use a smartphone without telephone service. You can hook it up on the Wi-Fi in the house. And I do this with my kids, like my old phones. My daughter, she loves to listen to music on Amazon Music. And my wife will hand her phone. She's special needs. And so, she hands the phone back eventually. And it's like one more attempt until we erase all of your data because someone has stolen your phone and is trying to log in with the wrong password. And my wife's like, "Gah! You can never have my phone again." So now she gets my old phones. And I just put them on I take out the SIM card so she can't call 911 or anything silly like that. And I put them on the Wi-Fi in the house, and she can do all of her apps, and she can watch Netflix, and you could do Line, for example, because it's not using the telephone signal, it's using your internet connection. And as long as you supply that device with an internet connection, it'll work. So if you have trouble getting the app to run on a computer, I would suggest that you go out and pick up just a cheap used smartphone somewhere. You don't really care how new it is or how old it is, how fast it is. You're just using it to make phone calls. And so then you can download the app to the device, and then you can go forward from there. So a couple different options for you to get the job done. But, yeah, you can absolutely run it on your computer as long as you have Windows 11.
Okay, I do not have Windows 11 since it was bought in 2020.
Oh boy, you were right
anyway.
right on the cusp there. Well, you could take advantage of the sale at Schrock, get the free labor, and get yourself upgraded to Windows 11. That's option one. Or like I said, option two, you can pick yourself up a pretty inexpensive smartphone for less than $50 these days.
Okay, it's a Resolute that I bought in 2020, and from what I can gather, it says it's not Windows 11 capable of.
Gotcha. Yeah, and if because it's a laptop, there's not a whole lot you can do for the processor in a laptop. However, like I said, I would suggest that you take a look at a smartphone. Like get an inexpensive used smartphone somewhere. Somebody you know's got one laying around. They'll give you. I mean, literally, or just to try, just to try. To see if you can get it to work.
Okay, I thank you for your help, and I thank Frank, who last week helped me with another challenge that I phoned in and was on the Schrock desk.
Oh, thank you, Joan. I'll tell Frank about that. He Austin usually works with him, and he's been out with COVID this week, and so Frank has been pulling the hours, and the man is starting to burn. So when he gets customer compliments, they really refill his bucket. So I will make sure I pass that on to him, Joan. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much. You too.
All right. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Blaine, welcome to the show. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hi. I have Windows 10. I had maintenance done about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And I described the problem, but they were not able to reproduce it.
Okay.
In the office there. So I have when I open my internet and I go to I call them primary links. Something I just opened that, and it's like when I get these newspapers online, and they give you all the headlines, and then you click read more.
Mm-hmm.
I call that a secondary link, and I'll click on the first one. Usually that works fine. Then I go to the second one. It might work. It might not work. And then I can shut it down, restart everything, and I'll go through the same process again. Sometimes I get a drop down at the top that says, you're not connected. And then it starts counting down, and it's going to reconnect. And I go down to the bottom bar, and it says I have internet. So I'm just beside myself.
Okay. So a few things. So it's always frustrating when we have a situation when a customer has a problem at home and they come into the service center and the problem doesn't repeat itself. We've all experienced that in life. You take your car in and it's making the wizzy-bucka sound, and you take it into the mechanic and you're like, I don't hear anything. You're like, of course not. And then of course, as you're driving it out of the mechanic's parking lot, it's like wizzy-bucka, and you're like, come on, for real? So I understand exactly how you're feeling. So the first thing is when we have a problem that presents at home but doesn't present at the shop, 9 times out of 10, there's something different about the home environment than the shop environment. So what's different? Well, the difference in this case is your wireless router. The signal, the wireless router and the connection to the computer. In the service center, you're connected to our router. And everything went fine. We downloaded updates. We didn't have any interruptions to connectivity, any sort. Everything was fine. But if we put it in your house, if you're getting interrupted connectivity where sometimes you're clicking on links and they're working and sometimes they're not, especially if there's no rhyme or reason to it. If it's something predictable, like every time I click the read more link, it never works. Well, then that's pretty easy to troubleshoot. The reason it's difficult to troubleshoot is sometimes it's working and sometimes it's not. Now, it is possible for you to have a wireless connection to your router, but not have internet on that connection. So think about it like it's possible for you to have a faucet in your kitchen that you could turn on. But if the water is turned off, everything about the faucet works fine. There's just no water. There's no pressure. And that's what's happening possibly in this case. And again, I'm taking a stab in the dark here, but there's something different about the environments. So my guess is that for whatever reason, your wireless router, even if it's maintaining the connection to your computer, is not providing consistent internet access. You'll get this a lot especially if you use something like a wireless internet service like Verizon. I'm not singling out Verizon. Any of the hotspot services, T-Mobile, they're all the same. If you're using cellular internet, you can have unexplained disruptions in your connectivity there as well.
Right. Now, the bottom one, that bottom bar, when I click on that, it'll say secure, connected, no internet.
Yep, that's exactly what I'm saying.
But
so you have a
if
secure.
I don't have any.
You have a secure
this
connection.
other bar at the top. The other bar at the top says I don't have it, and I go to the bottom one that says I do.
No, it's saying that you have a connection with no internet. So they're agreeing with each other. There's the top bar is saying you have no internet. The bottom bar is saying you have no internet. Now, but it's not the router's fault because you're connected to the router. So the router's like, it ain't me, bub. That's what that one's saying.
The bottom one is saying that I have internet.
Oh, I thought you said it said connected with no internet.
No, I say it can say that, but it's saying that it has internet.
Well, they don't say they have internet. It either says it's connected with internet or connected without internet. And if it says without, then there is no internet.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. The thing at the top is saying I don't have anything, but the one at the bottom says I do.
Gotcha. Okay. So I'm not sure what the thing at the top is that's telling you it's not connected to the internet. So it sounds like you may have some utilities installed that are helping maintain your internet connection, maybe. Sometimes you see this with the Linksys utility, things along those lines. So basically, I guess what we would want to do in this case, how we can test this theory pretty easily, is let's get you connected over the Schrock desk. If we can get connected on the internet, once we get connected on the internet, if your internet connection drops, we'll know it because we'll lose our connection. And then we'll say the internet connection's not reliable. And then we'll know that that's the problem. Otherwise, if there's some utility or some piece of software installed that's telling you you're connected or not connected or trying to maintain your connection or optimize your connection or speed up your connection or any of that garbage, we can just uninstall all those utilities because you don't need them because Windows does all of that for you. Thank you for the call, Blaine. I do have you in the drawing there for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. We could apply that toward the hour for the Schrock desk if you want us to do a Schrock desk session. It's the same price as coming into the service center. It's $125 an hour. That'll knock $25 off of that, and we can do that connection and see if we can't experience the internet as you experience it on your wireless router, because I think that's what's missing here. 888-250-2091. All right, really quick here. Another ransomware decryptor was released this week. For those of you who don't know what ransomware is, in a nutshell, it's a virus that gets on your computer, and the first thing that it used to do is just encrypt everything. So you can't open any of your files or your pictures or your documents. And then if you try to open them, you'd get a message that says you got to pay me some Bitcoin before I'm going to give you the tool to unlock your files, basically. There's several permeations of this. Now there's some of them actually upload the data first, so they send all your information to like the hacker who can peruse through it and look at it and see kind of what they're dealing with and how much they can ask for in a ransom. Then once it's all transmitted, it encrypts everything. So they started doing that because people were just wait for a decryptor like this to come out and not pay the ransom. Well, now they can say, okay, Mr. Attorney, I have all your client files and I'm going to release them on the dark web unless you pay the ransom. Oh, shoot. Now it's a different ballgame. Now it's not just getting your files back. It's making sure your data stays private. And some companies and people are willing to pay to try to make that happen, even if they know they're dealing with a criminal and that may not actually work out. But how bad is this problem? Like, how does it happen to real people, to real businesses? Do you know somebody that's been hit with ransomware? Well, I do, obviously, because they come to me when they get hit with ransomware. I got a server in the Omaha Service Center right now that's locked up with ransomware. She didn't tell us it had ransomware. She just brought it in and said, I need a data transfer. And we're like, okay, that's no problem. We hook it up to the network, we turn it on, and the message comes on the screen, pay me the Bitcoin. We yanked that connection off our network faster than, like, no, because that stuff's insidious. It will spread. And so you don't want to have that happen. So what is the threat? Let me tell you, we have statistics from 2022 now, because the year is over, compared to 2021. So in 2022, 105 states or municipalities were hit with ransomware. That was a 30% increase over 2021. In 2022, 1,981 schools were hit. That was a 100% increase over 2021. And ransoms amounting to a minimum of $400,000 were paid in multiple instances. So the bad guys are making big money by infecting school systems. 25 hospital and healthcare systems were infected. You guys may have remembered this from last year. We had a big one with CHI Health. Before that, we had a big one with UNMC in Nebraska. We're running out of healthcare systems to get infected. 290 hospitals were infected last year. And of the hospitals that were infected, 68% of the cases resulted in the loss of confidential patient information, including medical records, prescription records, and personal payment information. So, in other words, the bad guys know what they're stealing from hospitals. And I'm not sure if hospitals tend to not want to pay the ransom because it doesn't really matter. If you pay the ransom, it takes about the same amount of time to get your systems back online than if you don't. You just lose the data, and then, of course, if you have backups, cold storage backups, you can restore a lot of that data. So long story short here, guys, ransomware is real. It impacts real businesses and it impacts real individuals. And I know not as many people are working from home as have in the past. And I know that now it's kind of a hybrid-y situation where some people are working from home some of the time and not other time. We're still in this bring your own device mentality where whenever you have a device that connects to your network, like that server in the Omaha Service Center, once we introduce that device to the network, it puts every device in the network at risk. It's no different in your office environment. It's no different in your home. Great example. We have a new corporate client we're signing on Tuesday. We're going to go out. It's a home-based business, very successful, but he's got 2 computers in the house and his son's gaming computer. They're all in the same network. It doesn't do us any good to install Sophos on his computers and not his son's computer. Because if a thing's going to get in, it's going to get in on the kid's computer. And once it's on the network, given time, it will find a way onto the other computers. It's kind of like if you have an antibiotic, you don't go running around sticking bacteria under your skin to see if you can cure infections. Eventually, something's going to get you, even with the antibiotic, right? So you don't want to tempt fate. So you have things like Secure Updater, and you have programs that we recommend like Sophos Antivirus to keep you safe. But you have to install them on all the computers on your network to maximize that capability of keeping you safe. So just something to keep in mind in the new year, guys. Cybersecurity threats are real. They're mostly not coming from Russia. Actually, they're coming from Iran. They're coming from North Korea. Some of them come from, former Russian states and things like that. But, the Russian government is not actively infecting your home computers with ransomware. It's just not. There's better things. There's more important things to handle for them right now. 888-250-2091. Going to take our final break of the program, guys. When we come back, Ruth and Steve, your calls are next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations repair technicians also make house calls. Make an appointment and let us bring our award-winning computer support right to your home or business.
Remember the good old days when virus detection worked like Where's Waldo? Spot the virus in the striped shirt and you win. Today's infections are changing hourly to avoid detection and use social engineering to trick you into making mistakes. Using yesterday's security to defend against today's threats is like using leeches to stop an infection. It just doesn't work. We recommend Sophos Intercept X, antivirus backed by Schrock's virus-free guarantee. Sophos uses the power of AI to detect the patterns of a virus attack and responds with Schrock's custom actions that stop it fast. With Sophos on your PC, Mac, Android, or iOS device, you get the state-of-the-art protection you need to defend against the most advanced attacks out there. In fact, if your device gets a virus while running Sophos Antivirus, Schrock will remove it for free, guaranteed. It hasn't happened yet, and we intend to keep it that way. Ditch your dad's antivirus and keep your device, data, and identities safe with Sophos and Schrock Innovations.
Compute This Pro Tip 178. Those little life-saving surge protector strips are vital to your computer's health and should be used whenever possible, even for laptops. As computers get smaller and more powerful, they're also becoming more sensitive to dirty power, and your power is a lot dirtier than you might think. Even if you have a whole home surge protection, most power surges are generated within your own home. If you've ever vacuumed and seen the lights get dimmer and brighter, you created a surge. Surge protectors can only absorb so much energy measured in joules. When that capacity is exhausted, your surge protector becomes a glorified extension cord and needs to be replaced. You should always look for surge protectors that give audible alerts when they're no longer able to protect your equipment. Schrock recommends these because the lights on most strips are just power lights and they don't tell you when it's time to replace the unit. If in doubt, replace your surge protectors annually to keep your expensive TVs, computers, and other electronic equipment safe. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back in. I was a blowhard, so we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to make sure we get these calls in. Steve, you're first up on the program. How can I help you on Compute This?
Yes, I bought a holiday special.
Yes, sir.
Laptop. And on my desktop, I've been running QuickBooks 2017. And we were not able to install it on that laptop.
Okay.
And I'm around Lincoln, so the Lincoln Service Center spent the way the ticket reads, everybody in the service center tried a shot at it and wasn't able to do it.
Okay.
So I've actually called the QuickBooks hotline deal and all that, and been through a couple people, and they tried different approaches. I always reach an error code. And they finally give up and say, you need to buy an updated subscription.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas?
Okay, well, the information set that I have in front of me is kind of limited here because of the error code, but I do know the caliber of the guys. If you have gone all the way up the food chain, all the way to Parker, I know the caliber of the guys that have looked into the problem for you. So obviously, QuickBooks 2017 works. There's compatibility modes. I was just looking up the actual compatibilities of 2017. For those of you listening who don't understand why this is an issue, QuickBooks doesn't sell desktop software anymore. You must buy subscriptions now. So you can't buy it once and then have it for a long time, like 2017 forward. You have to pay monthly for it now, which is one of the reasons why we got rid of QuickBooks at Schrock and built our own system, because it was actually cheaper to hire a coder to build our own accounting software than it was to pay for QuickBooks. So just food for thought there. Boy, I have to tell you, just on the radio here, I don't have anything new or unique that I can tell you. What I'd like you to do, though, is shoot me an email. My email address is tschrock@schrockinnovations.com. Shoot me an email with the error message you're receiving, and I will look into it myself as well, just to give it one more set of eyeballs.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thanks for the call, Steve. Ruth, I have about 30 seconds. Ruth, how can I help you on Compute This today?
Windows 11. Do I need to download that? I'm self-employed. I work on that laptop 100% of the time.
Well, eventually you will. You have until October of 2025 before you're going to be required to do it.
Any drawbacks to it?
Drawbacks, no. Advantages, it's much more secure. The only drawback that you would have is any potential downtime if something went sideways during the install. So I'd recommend, doing it sometime when you don't have a lot of stuff going on,
Okay.
All right. Thank you for the call, Ruth. You need to draw a winner for the $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate. Today's winner is Joan. Congratulations, Joan. You got yourself $25. Also, new cameras from Ring, guys. They're bringing back the peephole camera at CES. It goes on your peephole for an apartment door. Peephole camera. See you next week.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This is News Radio 11.